Judging from our recent road trip experiences, we're noticing that there are more EV drivers taking their electric vehicles on road trips in 2024 than there were back in 2022 or even in 2023. So today's video, we're going to look at how to plan for an EV road trip and what you can expect when you're out on the road. 10 months ago, we took a road trip from Texas to Tennessee in our Chevy Bolt, and on that entire road trip there and back, we encountered one charger that was full, so much so that we had to wait our turn to be able to plug in. Then 2 months after that, we went on 2 trips back and forth down from our house to Austin, Texas. There are a lot more EVs in Austin, and we encountered very full chargers there. There's a lot of people who lived in the area that were using the fast chargers just for their daily or weekly charges, but a lot of people were like us, and they were charging on a road trip. And as there are more EVs being sold, the EV sales numbers are going up, but a lot of people are taking them on the road. So this video is going to be kind of an update on how to plan for an EV road trip, and we're going to tell you about what to expect when we're out there. I'm standing at the Lake of the Ozarks State Park just outside of Osage Beach, Missouri. We are in the middle of our vacation. We've got a road trip video coming up next week that shows our trip getting here, and the week after that will be the return trip. So be sure that you've subscribed so that you can see those videos when they come out. You can even take advantage of our new offering of channel memberships. It is a little warm out here right now, so I'm going to go into the shade and get into the content of this video. So let's start with planning. If you want to go the easiest route, you have a couple of different options depending on how your electric vehicle is equipped. If your electric vehicle has native built-in navigation that can direct you along your route and show you where the charge stops are, like our Tesla Model 3 does, you can just type in your destination, hit enter and go, and the car will plan out the charging stops based on when it needs it. If your car does not have that, or if you want to be a little bit more hands-on in your route planning, there's a great website called A Better Route Planner, ABRP. You can search for that app and get it on your phone, that can do EV route planning, show you where the chargers are, give you an estimate on how long you're going to be at the charge stop, etc., that is along your route. You can even get a membership to A Better Route Planner, and that way you can use A Better Route Planner for your in-car on the road navigation with that membership, if you're equipped with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto or anything like that. You can also do a combination of both, but one thing that I'm definitely going to recommend is, even if you do all of your own route planning, have the car navigate to the charger, especially if it has that built-in native route planning, because if it does that, there's a good chance the car is also going to have automatic preconditioning of the battery. And before you get to the charger, if you have the navigation on navigating you to that charging stop, then it will get the battery to the correct temperature to give you the best charging speed that it can accept. So always have that navigation on, especially if it's got the built-in nav. Now, when you use A Better Route Planner, you type in your destination, you type in your where you're leaving from, what state of charge you're leaving from, and you're leaving with, what your car is, year, make, model. And you can even customize it with battery degradation, what speed you're driving, etc. And it will give you a fairly accurate estimate. What I do when I road plan, even with our Tesla, we took a road trip last month that I just let the car handle all the route planning. It was short. It was 400 miles or a little less than 400 miles one way and 400 back. This one that we're on right now is a little over 650 miles one way and then going back home as well. And we had specific times that I needed to be at specific places because we were meeting somebody here. So I had to do the route plan to find where the charging stops were, roughly how much the charge stops were going to take as far as time, and then calculate my time backwards from when we needed to be at a specific spot to meet somebody to know what time we needed to leave. And so that way we were able to make it on time. She beat us to where we were going, but we were about 5 minutes early, but we did make it. What I do is once I find where the charging stops are, then I make a Google spreadsheet, because I'm a nerd when it comes to making Google spreadsheets. I just am, and it's going to tell. I type in the address, and I type in the city, how long, and then I go to Google Maps and navigate from one stop to the next stop, so I know how many miles it is and how much time Google Maps expects, because chances are very high that we're not going to stop between those charging stops, so we'll actually maintain the average speed that Google Maps thinks that we'll do. I got into that habit long ago with internal combustion engine cars when we were road tripping with those. And then when we got the Chevy Bolt, it wasn't a big transition. The Chevy Bolt does not have the built-in native navigation, so I had to plan out the charging stops ahead of time. So I'm used to that, and even though our Tesla does it for us, I still like being able to know what's coming up in advance. Then I go into an app called PlugShare, find the charging stops that a better route planner suggests or that the car suggests. I can plug in, you can also just plug in the route in your car's native navigation and it'll show you where the charge stops are, and you can skip a better route planner, but and it will estimate the time most likely, at least on our Tesla it does. And then I go into PlugShare, find those chargers within the PlugShare app. PlugShare is a great platform where EV drivers can comment on the charger, how fast it's working, how crowded it is, what's around it. I look at a few of the reviews, the recent ones, just to see how it's doing lately. I always tap on the picture though, because we time out our charging stops with our meals. It's like, okay, we're gonna have lunch while we're charging at this place. What's around there so we know what to eat. And so I'll go into the pictures. I can look on Google Maps, I can see what's around there, and then I go into the pictures, swipe through them, and that gives me an idea of exactly how far away from the charger those places are, or at least how far away from the chargers any kind of facility is, because we're going to you know, go to the bathroom while we're at a charge stop anyway, so whether it's lunchtime or dinner time or not. If you're already looking at PlugShare, another thing that you can do while you're there is get an idea of what chargers are down. If you're road tripping in a Tesla, you should already have a Tesla account set up in your app. If you bought the Tesla new from a Tesla service center, that's going to be taken care of for you when you take delivery of the car, possibly even beforehand when you order the car. I don't know, I haven't bought one new, so all you Tesla owners who have, you can comment, put down in the comments exactly how that process works of getting the app connected. I bought mine used, and it took about a week for the electronic transfer to happen where I could access the car in my app. But once that is there, you put in a credit card or a debit card number, and then all you have to do at the Tesla superchargers is grab the plug it in, and don't worry about it. It's going to charge. But if you're road tripping with a CCS vehicle, there are some things that I highly recommend that you do before you leave the comfort of your own home. For instance, if you've looked up what those charge stops are going to be, and you know what charge networks they're connected to, for example, Electrify America or EVgo or EV Connect, whatever that charging network is, look into, set up an account with your home Wi-Fi so that you've got the account set up, you've got payment information already set up through the app, so that you're going to use your phone to make these payments. Now, some of these chargers are going to be in places where there's bad cell coverage, and you're going to have to kind of Bluetooth or tap your phone to it or something. Very few of them are actually going to have card readers on the station, and in my experience those are the first things that stop working, and where I've seen a lot of EV drivers get frustrated, especially if they're new EV drivers, is trying to get their card approved at the charging station so they can start getting electricity into their car. So I highly recommend getting your accounts with the payments all set up in your phone while you're at home and you're comfortable before you're out on the road, and it makes everything a lot less stressful. Now, when you get to the CCS charging station, some of them are going to want you to plug in first before you activate the charge to your car. Some of them are going to want you to activate in the app or get the payment approved before you plug in. Whichever way it is, it will say so on the screen, provided that the screen is working. If the screen's not working, the charger's probably not working either. So the screen will tell you to plug in first or to activate the app first. Do that, and once you're plugged in and the app is activated, it will approve and it should start charging. If you are a Chevy Bolt owner, which I am, and I have road tripped my Bolt, it's a little less stressful for you at different chargers, because chargers like Electrify America will sometimes derate the amount of power they'll put out. That charger might be capable, it says 350 kilowatts on it or 150 kilowatts on it, but it might have been derated so it maxes out at 50. And if you're driving something like a Kia EV6 or a Hyundai Ioniq 5 or an Ioniq 6, that can, or even the new Chevy Silverado that can charge super fast, and you plug into a charger that's only giving you 50 kilowatts, then that's going to be frustrating. It's going to be super frustrating. On Electrify America's app, it'll tell you which chargers have been derated to 50 kilowatts. It'll say that on there. So once you've found out what the chargers are and the charger networks are, find out which ones are derated. Electrify America, sometimes they have 2 charging handles, and some of the time, one of those is going to be not functioning properly, and it won't connect. You can look on the app and it'll tell you. I always forget to look on the app to do that. One of the things that Rachel noticed on our first big EV road trip is if the 2 handles look different, go with the one that looks newer or less beat up, because that's the one that's going to be working. If it's more beat up, chances are not going to be working. Not 100% true 100% of the time, but it's true enough that it'll get you through, and if it doesn't work, you just switch to the other cable. But back to whether the charger is derated, the Bolt, it doesn't matter. If the charger's only giving you 50 kilowatts, it's all you can take anyway. If the only fast charger around can only do 62 kilowatts at a charge point or something like that, you're fine. That's what your car can handle. But kind of know how fast your car can charge. If your car can't take advantage of a full 350 kilowatt charging station, and there's a 150 kilowatt charging station or a derated one that's available, it's not going to make a difference to your car, leave the faster charger to a car that can charge faster. Now, with Teslas, it's vital to know the difference between a version 2 and a version 3 or higher supercharger. If they have a little metal collar around the plug, that means they're a version 2. And it'll also tell you in the app that it maxes out at 125 to 150. That's going to be version 2. If it goes higher than that, then it's a version 3 or higher. At the version 2 superchargers is where it makes a difference, because those pedestals share power between it and the one next to it. So you want to try to avoid not parking directly next to someone who's already there, unless it cannot be avoided. If that's the only available spot, then you have to take it. But try to go every other one if it's at all possible. But if you can't, the person who introduced me to Teslas told me this, and again, Tesla owners, if I'm wrong, you can put it down in the comments and I'll address it in another video. But he told me the trick was then, if the charger's too full that you can't go every other one, you've got to park next to somebody and share power with them. Park next to the car that has chrome door handles, because that means it's an older model year, and chances are it can't charge as fast as the newer model years, because upgrades are made to charging speeds in newer model years. That's what he told me. So that's just that piece of advice. Now, what about some other things that aren't really electric car nerdy stuff that you can expect while you're at the charging station and on the road? Depending on your car, you could be at that DC fast charger for 5 minutes or less, or you might be there for close to an hour, depending on what your state of charge is and how fast your car can accept electricity. So you'll learn that as you go if you don't already know it, and there are other EV channels and other people who have done all kinds of different reviews that'll have that information in their videos for any EV that you can find. For our Bolt, we knew it was going to be longer. For this Tesla that we're in, we're learning that sometimes those charge stops are pretty dang quick. We've had a couple of charge stops that were 5 minutes or less, and with those, we just stay around the car. Because these DC fast chargers are not going to be right up by the door of the business that they're in most of the time. These superchargers are usually around places of business, places where people will shop or eat or even get gasoline, or near convenience stores. The ones that are at gas stations, convenience stores, those are the ones that are, to me, a little easier, because it's a shorter walk from the chargers to the business for things like using the restroom or getting a snack or a drink or something like that. If you're traveling across country relying on Electrify America, a lot of those chargers, not all of them, but quite a few, are going to be at Walmarts or Sam's Clubs, these large stores. And those chargers, again, not 100% of the time, but the vast majority of the time, they're clear over to one side end of the parking lot, or they're all the way at the back. So if you're going to be done charging in 5 minutes or less, you're probably not going to have time to walk into that Walmart to even use the restroom and come back. But if you're going to be there for 20 minutes, half of that time is going to be spent going into the store and then coming back out to go to the bathroom and coming back out to the car, just because of how far away the chargers are. With the Tesla, that's true at these Buc-ee's superchargers. If you're not familiar with Buc-ee's, if you don't know what Buc-ee's is, my apologies. Buc-ee's is a great place on a road. It's a great travel stop, and it is super busy on weekends. Be aware of that. But the electric car chargers are going to be at the edge of this very large parking lot. And in and out of the store will take a minimum of 10 minutes. So with our Tesla, a couple of times we had to stop at these Buc-ee's. We had one on this road trip in Springfield, Missouri. We only needed a splash of electrons to make it to where we were meeting, the person we were meeting. We only needed like 5 minutes of juice. So we plugged in, got that 5 minutes of charge, and then we moved the car closer to the store to go in and get a sandwich and go to the bathroom and fill up our drinks. So depending on where it is and how long you're going to be there can determine what you're doing while you're there. And then some other quick tips. As you're traveling across parts of the country, going on a long trip in your EV, I recommend hanging on to at least one of those little grocery store or convenience store t-shirt bags that they give you when you buy something there, to use as a trash bag, because not all of these chargers, about half or less, are even going to have a trash can near them. Maybe bring an umbrella. The car can charge just fine in the rain while it's plugged in, but you might not want to get yourself wet while you're standing out there plugging the car in and unplugging it, so have that umbrella with you. Bring a microfiber cloth if you need to wipe down your windshield, because very, very few of these charging stations are going to have squeegees available for you to wipe down your windshield. So a microfiber cloth and maybe a little water, maybe a little bit of a spray bottle or something like that, because in certain parts of the country, at certain parts of the year, you're going to get covered with bugs on your windshield. You just know that that's going to happen. And the EVs charging stations, they don't have the roof over them. That's why I said the umbrella. They're not going to have most of them aren't going to have their trash cans or their squeegees. Just be prepared for that. And then look around the area. There might be something interesting for you to check out. If you've got a really long charging stop that you know is coming up, that's a great time to find a place where you can sit down and have a nice meal at a comfortable restaurant, instead of trying to just shove food in your mouth for sustenance as you're driving down the road. Perfect use of that. Or there might be a sight to see there that is worth seeing, that part of the country. You can check that out while your car is getting power. Find hotels, if you're stopping at a hotel somewhere along the road, that have EV chargers on site. Prioritize the ones that have free EV charging for hotel guests. Then you can pull into that hotel close to zero, plug in while you're sleeping for the night. It's going to be a level 2 charger, so by the time that you wake up, you're at 100%. Oh, and leave your house at 100%. That way you can get further down the road. I'm sure there are other planning tips and other pieces of advice of what to expect when you're out charging. So I'm sure I left something out. If there's something that you think is a great piece of advice, put it down in the comments, and the people can read it there, or maybe I'll just bring it up in a little bit later video. The Mach-E vlog just did something very similar on what to know before you go. Be sure to watch their video as well. And we're going to have our road trip video coming up. Like I said at the beginning of the video, our road trip here to Lake of the Ozarks, that's going to be a 2-part video, the way here and then the way back. We'll have all the information about that road trip. It obviously went well on the way here because I'm here. We'll just keep the content rolling on out. So thank you very much for watching, guys.